What's up, everyone? It's Adventures in Bitcoin. It's June 29th, Friday, and we've seen the market dip a lot. Looking at Bitcoin right now, it broke through this triangle, and it's safe to say that it has violated this floor here, and it's on its way to this trend line that I drew in red here. This was to be expected. In my video previous, I talked about all the reasons why it would fall and why it doesn't really matter. It just so happens that today is the expiration of the futures contract for Bitcoin. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange futures contract expired today, and we know that the Bitcoin price is always very volatile around those expiration dates. Now, there's controversy over why that happens. A lot of people believe that it's manipulation, where whales can take advantage of the expiration date and drive the price in a particular direction before the expiration date, so they win on both sides. But it's kind of a tough sell, because you can't really, considering how much transactions that go on and how much volume there is in Bitcoin, it's hard to believe that that can happen on a large scale. It is possible, though, but I think it's more the whole hype surrounding it. So people, they believe this to be a fact, so they try to get ahead of it and sell, and the price tanks. The point and the real important thing is that it happens. Who cares why, right? We know it's going to happen, and we expect it, and we don't freak out when it happens. So that's the explanation of the price falling. We haven't been seeing a lot of positive news or a lot of negative news. It's been pretty balanced. I said that there'd be two scenarios playing out. Either we're going to have a long, drawn-out recovery, which in Bitcoin terms is usually not as long as other markets. Or the second scenario is that it would there'd be some bad news that came out, really bad news. The price would drop sharply. People would be saying Bitcoin is dead, which they're kind of saying now. And then there would be all these people waiting to jump on really good prices. Like I saw an article today on Cointelegraph that they're saying, Bitcoin's a buy at 5K, which yeah, it is. It is a buy at 5K. More likely, it's a buy when it hits this line. It's actually a buy now. And if you're dollar cost averaging, which is I'm a big advocate of, then you never know what's going to happen. You can guess based on the information and the technical analysis what's likely to happen, but you never know. Something can happen. It could turn around right here and go parabolic again. You just never know. So if you're dollar cost averaging, you're buying here because it's safe. It's safe below this line. It's safer than what it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, right? So you take a little nibble, maybe it drops down more, maybe it recovers. That's how it works. But I still think that we're just, because of all the downward pressure, all the negative sentiment, that we're probably one major news item away from it tanking again. It may even go below this line. But the fact that this trend line, which goes way back here to where it was $1,000 when it first started taking off, that's this trend line here at the bottom. That's a very significant line that everyone's watching. Also, it coincides with this Fibonacci number here, this bottom here, in this blue section. From way back, from this bottom here, the $1,000, to the very tippy top of the hype, which we can actually go a little bit higher. And you can see that number, those two trend lines meet right about here. And look where this is headed. So I'm really liking that. Everyone's this is not rocket science. Everyone's seeing the same thing. And I would see the prices will not go too below this line. There's just too many people jumping on it. There was another article. Where is the one? The whales, the Bitcoin whales. 1,000 people who own 40% of the market. A few investors can rock it with a shrug. which is true. We know this market is heavily manipulated. If you have a ton of Bitcoin and you're that rich, it's safe to say that you can find some of the other people that are rich like you in Bitcoin, seek them out, and collude together to drive the price up or down. But in this article, they talk about what's most likely is that people are just buying and holding, which I think there's merit to both things. I think that, yes, I mean, we know for a fact there's manipulation. We see it in the exchanges. We see the buy walls and the sell walls just magically disappear. So we know that that's going on. But a lot of these guys, these big players, they're buying from each other and not affecting the price at all, which is interesting. They contact each other and some of the brokerage firms and say, hey, I'll buy your entire wallet for X amount of dollars, which doesn't hit the exchanges. It's just like kind of like a private exchange, which I thought that was interesting. Ethereum also broke its bottom on this trend line, so probably see a little more downward action of Ethereum. What else? We're getting some negative news, like this Tether flaw wasn't actually a flaw. It was a problem with the exchange. So it wasn't really a problem with the code. It wasn't a bug in the code like they led you to believe originally. So we hear a lot of things like that, kind of like these bait and switch articles where it's has a FUD title or it's found out not to be true. I'm still liking EOS with all this, downward motion of Bitcoin and Ethereum. EOS for the past couple of days has been holding this line here in this green section here, this Fibonacci retracement. I'm still liking EOS. I know a lot of people don't like it. What I like about it is Dan Larimer, who's the brains behind Steemit and some other projects that did well. I really like their leadership. They've had their issues, yes, but they've addressed them pretty quickly. Like first there was a flaw uncovered in the code that they said it was hackable. They had that hackathon, and they addressed that right away. They had some issues with their launch. They did the right thing and delayed it, but they finally launched, which shows progress, shows leadership, and there's a lot of money behind it. They collected tons of cash in their ICO, so yeah, they better they better perform. So there's a lot of cash behind them. Was an issue where some of the major block producers, their accounts got hacked, and they froze some accounts, and that led Larimer to suggest that they should rewrite the constitution of EOS. It says here he blames humans. What he means by that is what they were suggesting is doing like a fixing or returning the funds back to the people who had it stolen, which kind of goes against the principles of blockchain, where when something happens, it's permanent. You can't go back and reverse it. That's part of the trust faction. And if you in the real world, if you lose something, you lose something. If something gets stolen, it gets stolen. If you make a mistake and you trust the wrong people, you can't reverse that. So he was suggesting that they just let it be. And what happened here was these people were duped into going to a compromised website, and they had their keys compromised, and they had a ton of EOS stolen, which sucks. But we have to be careful if we're going to play in this space, especially these guys. If you're going to be part of a major project, you have to be careful. What else is going on? Oh, also major VR platform is going to be on the EOS blockchain. They raised $35 million to create a virtual world on EOS. This is pretty huge. So lots of positive things happening with EOS. So as far as futures contracts, I'll leave a link in the description for this site here if you're interested in getting ahead of these expirations. So you can see for yourself the price dipping around the times of these expirations. Monk coin is going really well. I got about 13 Monk today. Here's my virtual machine where I got Monk installed. My Monk wallet, my Monkey Project wallet. This is the their block explorer. It's coinexplorer.net/monk, and it's currently down. So if you wanted to pick up some, it's as cheap as it's ever been for a while, because it's not immune to the Bitcoin little Bitcoin crash we had. If you want to get a masternode, there's currently 463 masternodes out there, and you need currently 1,500 Monk, which is only $2,700, where about a week ago it was $5K. Because the price dipped so much, you can actually get it really cheap, which is tempting. So there's an issue with my wallet. I've asked support about it, but with my wallet, I'm getting the transactions, I'm getting the stakes, and they're showing up on the blockchain, which is great. What's happening here with my virtual machine? Get it together here. All right, here we go. So, but they're not showing up in recent transactions. So really not cause for alarm, because my balance is correct. If I match this balance with the balance on the Coin Explorer, they match. So I'm cool with that. I just don't see the transactions showing up. The thing about the Monk wallet, they're still heavily developing it, so a new one will come out every once in a while. They'll find some issues and then they'll fix it and we'll patch it. But if you fall out of sync, let's say if you attach to a VPN or something happens with your network, you will fall out of sync, and it could be you're not on the right chain as everyone else, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing you're getting stakes like every day, and you're like, wow, this is awesome, but they're not legit because you're not on the same chain as everyone else. So what happens is you have to go into your roaming. If you're in Windows, it's the roaming folder. Let me clear out some of this stuff. So you go into, this is a shortcut to it, but it's going to be in your C users, your name, app data, roaming folder. Sometimes you have to show hidden files to see it, or a shortcut is you just go to %appdata%, for those who don't know how to do that, and it'll pull it up, and you go into your Monkey wallet folder. Now this technique works with most wallets that are, the Qt wallet. You delete everything except for your wallet.dat and maybe the masternode.config. If you're running a masternode, you just delete it with the wallet off. Then you run it again, it recreates everything, and it syncs from block 0, and you have to wait for it to sync up, and that usually fixes the problem, and you're back on the chain with everyone else. So yeah, that's it for Monk. That is it for everything, really. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.